Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and today of training camp, day 5, August 1st, really ugly for the offense. Not a great way to start the week, not a great way to start the month at all. Stock down on the QBs, stock up on the defensive backs for sure. Way too many interceptions. Of course, every time I do a training camp breakdown, we got to start with injuries. So I'm going to give y'all an update on what's going on with Curtis Samuel, Chase Roullier, Antonio Gibson, and a lot more players as well. And then also, of course, every one of these videos, we got to go position group by position group and talk about all of the individual players that made the most notable plays, whether it be good or bad for each position group. So we're starting with quarterback, then we go running back, wide receiver, tight end, O-line, D-line, all the way down to the DBs and even special teams. And then at the end, any other random things that went down, any quotes from the press conferences afterwards, like interesting things that Ron Rivera said, all of it. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, especially these training camp breakdowns that I'm doing every day, even if I miss a day, the next day I'll just wrap up that day and the previous day together. But I'm never going to not cover a day, even if I just have to cover that day the next day. And of course, man, make sure y'all pull up to the Friday night streams, 7 to 9 p.m. every Friday, where we talk about everything, every sport, any topic, music, whatever. And then also make sure y'all pull up to the Sunday call-in show where y'all can call in, y'all can ask any questions you may have or voice your opinions about what's going on in training camp or anything, football, Commanders, whatever. And without further ado, let's get it. Alright, so first of all, let's start with the great news. Tomorrow is the first day where we start the practice with pads. So we'll truly get to see what Jamin Davis, Benjamin St-Juste, the running backs, the offensive line. I can't wait to see what those guys do when we get the pads on. Defensive line, finally probably hear some things about Phidarian Mathis. I am excited. Now moving on, let's start to get to some of the ugly stuff. Of course, when practice first started, people were wondering, okay, receivers are out here, they're warming up, nothing's starting yet, but where's Curtis Samuel? Then a little later after that, people were like, okay, still haven't seen him yet at practice, and people are out here doing stuff. And then shortly after that, people noticed that he was working on the side field to start practice. And remember, he was very limited the previous 2 practices, with there being a day off yesterday, as in Sunday. He was limited Saturday and back to Friday. I mean, he had that one great day where he juked Benjamin St-Juste out his socks. He's been limited since. And he was basically on the side field with Logan Thomas, Chase Young. You have defensive back DeJuan Neal over there, backup center Tyler Larson, John Bates. I'm still not exactly sure what injury that he's dealing with, but he's still over there. Trey Apke. And then Trey Turner's weird because Ron Rivera is downplaying it like it's nothing to really worry about, but he's just straight up not even in uniform. So this was his 4th day not participating in practice. But at least Chase Roullier, Antonio Gibson, and Jeremy Reeves not only participated in like the normal side field stuff that they've been doing, but now they were out there on 9-on-9s. Now, Chase Roullier was more limited than Jeremy Reeves and Antonio Gibson, but at least he was still out there. They're just trying to ramp him up. But again, Curtis Samuel just sidelined on the side field. And I think it's very weird because remember, he got surgery for his groin 13 months ago. And at the end of the season, he was talking about how he feels the best he's felt all season. And that was 7 months ago. So like, what is really going on? So Ron Rivera, at the end of the day, after practice, spoke on it. He said there was some concern for Curtis Samuel's football conditioning after not playing much last year, which factors into managing his workload. He said, quote, "You have to be smart with it. We're going to stick to the plan. It has nothing to do with last year's groin injury," unquote. And so, I mean, I'm just not too sure about that. Nothing. I can maybe see where you say, you know, it's not all the groin injury, it's some other things along with conditioning and things like that. But to literally say it has nothing to do with the groin injury, I don't know, man. But yeah, Rivera said that the concern is mostly about Curtis Samuel's overall football conditioning and shape, and that Samuel experienced tightness and soreness in his hamstrings and lower back. So that's not the groin, it's something else. I don't know, man. It's looking a little ugly. Is it time to panic? I don't think so. But it is like, okay, Curtis Samuel, like, are you a little worried? I mean, it'd be different if this was the first year we were dealing with this, and then it'd be like, oh, okay, maybe he's just going through something, we'll see. But the fact that we just went through this last year with a groin injury, and now suddenly it's conditioning, hamstring, and lower back, I don't know. Again, it's definitely not time to panic. It's August 1st. But at the same time, it's like, what's going on, my boy? What's going on? And Ron Rivera also said, quote, the real good thing with it, more so than anything else, is that it's all about the plan. We came out the first couple of days, got a chance to really look at him. I know he and AI talked a little bit, and there was some concern as far as just his overall football conditioning and shape. You can train all you want, you can condition all you want, but coming back and doing some of the things that we want to do, we've got to be smart with it. AI and his guys have a plan, so with Curtis, we're going to stick with the plan, unquote. Rivera also said, quote, I think more so than anything else, it was about seeing where he was at when we got him back those first couple of days and just listening to him and him talking about his hamstrings and lower back being sore and tight. One of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we brought him back the right way. So they put a plan together, they sat down, they went over it with Curtis yesterday, and they're implementing it now. And now what'll happen is you'll see there'll be ramp ups and they'll slope back down. There'll be times when they're interacting, getting some of the 11 on 11 work and stuff like that, but it's all part of the plan. The ultimate goal is really the regular season more than there's anything else. This has nothing to do with last year's groin injury or anything like that. This is just about the plan for him specifically. So apparently they were expecting all of this. They, I guess, knew that he would play a couple of days and then be very limited the next few. Apparently, they had foresight for this. This is not just a daily update thing. Apparently, there's a roadmap for this laid out. I don't know how much I trust them. We'll see. Again, it's definitely not time to panic, but I'm definitely a little worried. Again, the basis of everything is that it's just out of an abundance of caution. And again, he said that the real plan is for week 1. Like, that's the main goal. He can get in more reps and play a lot and fully participate before then, it'd be great. But the main goal is to have him ready by week 1. And now that we're done with injuries, because Curtis Samuel was the main part of it, let's go ahead and get to these position groups, starting with the offense and of course starting with the quarterback. And we're going to go chronological order for quarterbacks, and we're going to do the same thing when we get to DBs, because it just puts it into a better perspective of what happened today in practice. Terrible for the quarterbacks, great for the defensive backs. All right, so practice started off fairly normal, nothing exciting. Then suddenly Carson Wentz was intercepted during 909 drills by Kendall Fuller, who jumped a dig route and picked it off for an easy interception. He undercut Cam Sims. That's who Carson Wentz was trying to get it to. So it just sounds like, I mean, of course it was a bad throw by Carson Wentz, but it also sounds like it was a great play by Kendall Fuller. And of course, I mean, he's been playing really well. He's been one of the most notable players, one of the big standouts so far in training camp, and he's just adding to it right now. And then the very next play, Cameron Curl got a nice pick on a deep pass that Carson Wentz overthrew. He was trying to hit Cole Turner. Somehow he threw it too high for even the guy that has a higher catch radius than even you would expect from a 6'5" guy. Somehow he overthrew that guy, and Cameron Curl was right there to make the interception. Great play on his part as well. Maybe not as great of a play as the Kendall Fuller play, but still a great job making the most out of an opportunity. And so that was back-to-back interceptions for Carson Wentz, literally back-to-back plays. So then here comes Taylor Heinicke. First play, normal, nothing crazy. Then the second play that Taylor Heinicke's in, he throws an interception to Percy Butler. So that was 3 interceptions out of 4 plays between Carson Wentz and Taylor Heinicke. Carson Wentz had 2 interceptions in a row. Then come Taylor Heinicke, normal play, interception right afterwards. But then Heinicke did pretty well in the red zone drills. He threw De'Ami Brown a touchdown in the back of the end zone. De'Ami Brown's continuing to have a pretty good camp, a pretty surprising camp, at least for those that weren't really high on him. And continuing with goal line drills, Heinicke delivered a nice throw to Cole Turner where only he could get it. It was like a falling catch in the back of the end zone. And again, I just love the fact that Cole Turner is making plays no matter who's at quarterback, whether it be Carson Wentz, Taylor Heinicke, whoever. he's out there catching touchdowns and making plays. And then going back to Wentz, he had a really nice touchdown throw to Dotson. So it wasn't all bad, but it was definitely bad for the majority of the day. Definitely overall a really bad day, but it wasn't like it was all bad. He still had a touchdown to Jahan. He still had some other throws that were pretty good. And then here comes Sam Howell. Pretty normal day until he throws an interception to Jeremy Reeves. And then eventually Carson Wentz comes back out. Fairly normal. Then suddenly he throws his third interception, this time trying to hit Terry McLaurin on a deep comeback. Bobby McCain jumped the route and got an easy interception. Just like the Kendall Fuller play, where it was more so a great play by the DB than necessarily a bad throw by the quarterback, but it was still a bad throw by the quarterback. All of the interceptions were Carson Wentz's fault today. It wasn't like it hit a receiver in the chest and it popped up or anything like a drop by the receiver. It was just a straight up bad read, bad throw, inaccurate throw, and then a great play made by the DB. And now moving on to running backs, and we're just going to pretty much talk about Antonio Gibson in this section because, I mean, that's what most of the focus was on. First of all, to start off the day before they even got into team drills, of course, Randy Jordan easily has the most entertaining drills out of any coach on our team. I mean, it's something different literally every day. And so today he had them working on avoiding cut tackles. So at a certain point, they would have to jump and hurdle really high up after running through cone and doing a whole bunch of footwork stuff. And immediately afterwards, you got to make this crazy leap, which I think is something good to drill in their head, because a lot of the times, really some of the worst injuries that running backs get are people trying to tackle their lower body and end up messing up their legs in some way. So if you can learn how to just naturally jump over guys in the blink of an eye right when you need to, that could definitely help your longevity, and also to add to that, make a lot of highlights and get you more yards on any given play. But I am still afraid of, I mean, when you're in the air, you're not protected, very susceptible to anything happening. But if they can get that down, I'm down. And again, shouts out to Randy Jordan for challenging them. It's something new literally every day. And then also, before we broke into team drills, Gibson was running routes and individual drills. So he was out there doing some more receiver stuff. And I need to see more receiving stuff from him. When we drafted him, he was literally a receiver trying to become a running back. And since he's been here, we've barely used him as a receiver. The most he's done is catch a pass out of the backfield, screens and things like that. But I don't remember Antonio Gibson just going out wide and running a route like how J.D. McKissick did against the Giants week 2 last season, right before the Ricky Seals-Jones touchdown. I want to see Antonio Gibson do some stuff like that, like literally line up out wide like my boy James Cook did for Georgia last year. I believe he can do it. I don't know why we're not doing it, but at least he's working on it in practice now. And even though Carson Wentz had a really bad day, speaking of him working on it in practice, Wentz stopped Gibson to talk about being a bit more patient at the line of scrimmage before he starts his route while he was running some routes in team drills. And I like that, because if that's what's holding him back, if that's the reason why we haven't been using him in the passing game more, please coach him up, Carson Wentz. Please. You had a terrible day, but at least you can help others have a good day or a better day. Also, while Antonio Gibson was working in red zone drills, he showed a lot of quickness on an inside slant against Kendall Fuller for a touchdown from Wentz. And the play afterwards, he ran with the ball outside to the corner really well. So, hey, Antonio Gibson looking as explosive as ever. If anything, even more explosive than when we got him, because remember, he tried to put on some weight when transitioning from receiver to running back. It hasn't worked out very well for him, so now he's starting to go back and slim down a little bit. So now he's faster, quicker, more explosive than he's probably ever been since he's been on the team, and I'm excited. Also, something really important, during his press conference, Antonio Gibson said that he learned a lot about pass protection over the past 2 seasons. He's been able to pick up the concepts more quickly, and that's going to be huge. I think that's going to be one of the main factors into how much he actually plays. Like on third downs, J.D. McKissick was on the field a lot because he's literally our best pass blocking running back, which is crazy because he's the smallest. Like as of right now, J.D. McKissick is our best pass blocking running back, and he's way smaller than Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. So there's no excuse for those guys. It's all technique, it's all mental, it's all awareness, and just practice. So ultimately, they should become better pass blockers than J.D. McKissic, and hopefully Antonio Gibson is working on that like he just said that he is. Hopefully we can see that actually produce some results this season, especially early on with the pass rushes that we have to go against. But man, there's just no reason that J.D. McKissic is our best pass blocking running back. I love the fact that he's really good at it, but those other guys need to be better than him. And Gibson also talked about Randy Jordan's unique drills in his press conference after the practice. He said, just be ready. You never know what you're going to see on the field. And again, I love that. Mentally challenging these guys every day. Physically, of course, as well. But to just, you never know what you're going to see any given morning, any given practice. That helps, man. I'm telling you, that's definitely doing something positive for our running back group because their position is very random. Quarterback and running back probably have the most random positions, especially just on offense. You never know any given play. Also, Antonio Gibson said that he's prepared to hear plenty from the defenders around the facility today after the bad day that the offense had and the great day that the defense had. And I think that's funny that he even acknowledged that out loud. He's like, oh man, after I'm done with this interview, with this press conference, I'm about to go hear it in this locker room, man. And he said that he wants the offense to rebound tomorrow to help quiet things down, because I'm pretty sure the defense been talking crazy. They've calmed down a little bit on the field after Ron Rivera gave them that speech after day, I think it was 2, but I'm pretty sure in the locker room they're talking all of it. I would be too. Now moving on to the receivers, and overall this was a fairly off day for quite a few of them. Cam Sims, De'Ami Brown, and Marcus Michelle all had drops today, and I'm not really used to hearing anybody just straight up dropping passes throughout training camp so far. I mean, Terry McLaurin had 1 drop back-to-back days, but in general I just haven't been hearing about a drop problem, and today there was a drop problem. So not only were the quarterbacks bad, but the receivers weren't up to par as well. Now, of course, again, the quarterbacks made some good plays, the receivers made some good plays, but overall, it was not as good of a day. I don't know what happened on Sunday, if everybody went out to the club, everybody was cooking out, ate too much, I don't know, but it just seems like the offense did not come ready on Monday as in today, August 1st, day 5 of training camp. But De'Ami Brown, like I mentioned earlier, from Taylor Heinicke, caught a touchdown in the back of the end zone and red zone drills. Dotson also had that 1 easy touchdown from Carson Wentz because he got so open in the end zone. Terry McLaurin also had a moment, really funny, where he was matched up in the slot with Jamin Davis, and that's also something to note. Terry McLaurin was in the slot. We've mostly been hearing about Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel taking turns in the slot, but with Curtis Samuel out, we're also seeing Terry McLaurin right there. And that's what I love about all of these guys, because I believe all 3 can play the X, Y, and Z. It just depends on which one you prefer at either spot, but all 3 can do all 3. But again, Terry McLaurin was in the slot, matched up with Jamin Davis. He ran a fade-ish route to the corner. Wentz looked elsewhere, and Terry was super animated about not getting the ball. He said, quote, "Throw it to me when I'm on a linebacker," unquote. Now, several reporters have emphasized that he wasn't frustrated. He was more so animated than anything, but it is kind of true. I mean, I don't know if Jamin Davis had good enough coverage to make Carson Wentz look away, and if he did, that's good to hear. But yeah, Terry McLaurin on Jamin Davis, Terry McLaurin on any linebacker in the NFL, Carson Wentz needs to look towards that and at least give him a chance. And so I understand why Terry McLaurin was like, come on, bro, like, come on. Now moving on to the tight ends, Sammis Reyes was out there blocking his tail off again. Again, like I've already said, John Bates and Sammis Reyes are easily our best blocking tight ends. And with John Bates not participating in practice so far, Sammis Reyes is by far our best blocking tight end on the team right now that's participating in practices. And there was one play where McGowan had the ball, and then he did a nice job of running patiently to where Sammis Reyes can get out in front of him. And then Sammis Reyes just went and took Kendall Fuller right out of the play. And McCown was able to gain more yards because of it. Curtis Hodges also had a really nice catch from Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz still almost slightly overthrew him. I mean, for a 6'8" guy to have to jump as high as he did and extend as far as he had to get that pass, that's a little crazy, Carson Wentz, but Curtis Hodges out there making plays regardless. And that's what I like about a lot of these big target guys like Cole Turner, Curtis Hodges, and hopefully eventually John Bates, hopefully Logan Thomas when we get him back, and all of these other guys, because Carson Wentz is known to be inaccurate, and these guys pretty much nullify his inaccuracy. Just get it up to him, give him a chance, they'll come down with it a lot of the time. And then speaking of Cole Turner, like I said earlier, he had a really nice catch from a Taylor Heinicke throw in the red zone. and it just seems like it's a guaranteed touchdown every day for him. Cole Turner is going to be one of the biggest draft steals out of this past 2022 draft. You can already see it. And then offensive line wise, nothing significant. I mean, again, just overall, the defensive line has been beating the offensive line, but we'll see what it really looks like with pads tomorrow. You can't really judge offensive line or defensive line play until we get the pads on, for real. And so far the defensive line has been clearly winning, but the most notable thing is that Chase Roulier participated in some 11-on-11s with the first team a little bit today. Not a lot, but he was out there, and that's really encouraging. He's ramping up. Defensive line wise, nothing very notable. And then only thing from linebacker that's really of note was that play with Terry McLaurin where he was animated and telling Carson Wentz, hey, if there's a linebacker on me, throw it to me. So Jamin Davis had to have been some type of close to Taylor Heinicke if Carson Wentz didn't even consider him, unless Carson Wentz just completely ignored Terry McLaurin's whole being and existence on that play. And I mean, even though Carson Wentz had a bad day, I just refuse to believe that he didn't know that Terry McLaurin was being matched up against Jamin Davis. Because one thing about Carson Wentz, he's a veteran. He's pretty good pre-snap. He's definitely an upgrade pre-snap over what we've had for the past couple of years. So at the very least, I feel like he had to at least recognize that. So I'm just assuming Jamin Davis had great coverage. I don't know for sure because I haven't seen like a clip of it. I've only just been hearing about it, but who knows, man. And then moving to the DBs, back to chronological order. You have Kendall Fuller with the first pick on Carson Wentz on a Cam Sims pass. You had Cameron Curl with an interception from an overthrow from Carson Wentz to Cole Turner. You had Percy Butler picking off Taylor Heinicke, and I'm really excited about Percy Butler. Y'all don't understand. I really hope he ends up becoming an elite free safety for us, like a Pro Bowl, all-pro level, because all of the talent, all of the athleticism and potential is there. It's just all mental. So I'm excited to hear that he's starting to make plays. Granted, it's against the backup team, but Taylor Heinicke was able to win 7 games last year with a really tough schedule, and we were one of the most hurt teams in the NFL. So Taylor Heinicke is not a slouch. So the fact that Percy Butler's getting interceptions, it's not like he's getting interceptions on Cole Kelly and going against like the receivers that probably won't even make the team. It's the second team offense, second team defense. And of course, with all of this going on, you got DB's coach Chris Harris yelling at everybody. He said this S word is on lock. He was screaming that. He also screamed, yes sir, commando lockdown. That's an exact quote from him. You know he's going crazy. After 9-on-9s was done, clearly the defense won. It was just too much of a dominant performance. Then they came back 11-on-11s. You got Sam Howell throwing an interception to Jeremy Reeves. Shouts out to him for making a play. He's trying to make this roster as one of the last guys, if not at the very least somebody on the practice squad, so it's good that he's getting interceptions. And then later on, Carson Wentz trying to hit Taylor Heinicke, Bobby McCain makes a play. Shouts out to all of those DBs for stepping up and having a great day today, man. The defense has definitely been winning against the offense. The only day that you could kind of say that the offense was pretty good was day 3, and even that day it was kind of like a stalemate for who was better, even with all of the great highlights from the receivers. But every other day of practice so far in the first 5 days has easily been the defense, and I think today was the most convincing. Today may have been a bigger gap between the defense and offense than day 2. So I thought we were improving. I thought we were getting better day by day, but like I said, I don't know what happened on Sunday with the offense. I don't know if they all went out to the club or whatever, but they just didn't seem ready against the defense today. And then special teams wise, just a quick update. Zach Selby reported that he only saw 3 players catching punts during special teams drills. It was Alex Erickson, Kyrick McGowan, and Jahan Dotson. So it definitely sounds like Jahan Dotson's going to be used in a way to where maybe he's not our primary punter, but if we really need a guy to make a play in special teams, maybe we'll throw him back there, like how we used to use Santana Moss occasionally, where you would throw him back there, not all the time, but when you really needed a play you would, or like the Chiefs with Tyreek Hill. I don't think he'll be like Devin Hester or DeAndre Carter where they're there all the time, but like when you really need a play on special teams, maybe you throw Jahan Dotson back there, because he's definitely more electric than an Alex Erickson, and definitely more than like a Dax Milne. Alex Erickson is the safer option, even though statistically he looks explosive, but Jahan Dotson definitely has more innate ability to make guys miss. But again, he's just going to be so good on offense. And Bram Weinstein basically said, and he's tells it like it is. He super tells the truth. He was on John Kahn's podcast. He said that the defensive line has been dominating the offensive line. He's worried about it. He said he's also very worried about Carson Wentz's accuracy issues. But one of the few positives that he had is that it looks like Jahan Dotson's another #1 receiver. It's not like he's going to be wide receiver 2 to Terry McLaurin. We just have 2 #1 receivers out there. So I just don't know how much we're actually going to even use him as a punter, because when them being that good, you don't want to put him out there to potentially get hurt just from a special teams play that you could have just thrown Alex Erickson back there to field the punt. And then before we go in random news, Ryan Kerrigan, first of all, was back on the sideline at Commanders practice. He was basically just standing with the defense during team drills, talking to him and things like that. And Ron Rivera basically said that he's allowing Ryan Kerrigan to stick around for the next couple of weeks so he can fully gauge whether coaching is right for him. He wants to give him a taste of the grind. He wants to show him the good and the bad, the easy and the difficult sides of coaching. And I love that. Shouts out to Ron Rivera, man, because that's really, really cool. He technically doesn't have to do that. So shouts out to him for doing that. I mean, because that's technically not even his player, but everybody loves Ryan Kerrigan. And remember, Ryan Kerrigan in his press conference when he retired said that he loves football too much to just stay away from it completely. He wants to coach in some capacity, and I like the fact that Ron Rivera is like, I hear you, so let me show you what coaching really is. Let me show you the good side and the bad side, and if you really want to do it, let's talk. And hey man, if you could pick a part of the team that probably has the worst coaching, you could argue defensive line. Sam Mills III is like the most hated coach out of the fan base, and I've even heard the defensive line players don't even really like him that much. So hey, Ryan Kerrigan, please come save us, because apparently Warren Sapp loves Florida too much to move to the DMV. But I mean, it sounded like it wasn't a no, it was just more so I don't want to leave Florida. But man, Sam Mills, man, you better step it up, man. It's really getting old. Too many first round picks, my boy. Also, Rivera, of course, held his press conference, said a few interesting things like I've already noted, but he also said that he's really happy that Antonio Gibson is back on the field, and that part of the plan is just to ease him back in slowly, even though he was a full participant in a lot of team drills today. So that's really good. And he said that, I mean, he looked really good today. He looked spry, so they just kept letting him go. If he would have, came back and was like, nah, I'm not really feeling it too much, I'm feeling a little bit of tightness, a little bit of soreness here, like a Curtis Samuel, they probably would have sat him down earlier. But Antonio Gibson went out there, looked 100%, there was no reason to limit him. Also, after practice, Terry McLaurin signed autographs after practice, and then one fan had an Ohio State jersey of his with the McLaurin on the back, and so he made sure he went and signed that one first, and that's really dope. And then also, again, Wentz had a really bad day, but he had some good moments coaching up Antonio Gibson on how to run routes the right way. He made a few good throws, and at the end of practice, he was on the way out, about to head out, take off his uniform, go home, chill with his family and all of that. But then he heard a group of kids yelling his name, and he went straight to him. So that was dope. He went to talk to him, sign some things. That was great. And then also, again, just to remind y'all, like I said in the beginning of the video, tomorrow is the first day we practice with pads. So man, I'm excited. I can't wait to report on that. I'm gonna get y'all that video tomorrow for sure. Super excited, man, because we're really going to see what's really going on. Again, offensive line, defensive line. We're gonna see if Benjamin St-Juste can actually be on the field as much as we hope. He's ridiculously good in coverage, we know that, but can he run stop? Can he block shed? So we'll really get to see stuff like that when we throw in the pads. And Jamin Davis looks good in space, looks good in coverage, but what's it gonna look like in pads when you gotta tackle, when you gotta go up against these offensive linemen? Similar problems to Benjamin St-Juste. So I can't wait, man. When we get these pads on, oh man, it's about to be different. We're about to truly see where everybody's at. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section, let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Are you panicking about the Curtis Samuel situation? What is going on with John Bates? But are you optimistic about Chase Roulier, Antonio Gibson, and these other guys? Are you going to overreact to the quarterbacks being terrible and the DBs being great? Or is this just early training camp and you're just like, wait and see? Definitely let me know. Also, please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. I know you learned something, so please leave a like on the way out. I really appreciate it. And also, shouts out to everybody that supports the channel. Shouts out to everybody that donates to the channel during the live streams. I really appreciate y'all. And shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Man, I really appreciate y'all. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.